I'm still thinking May, and I need to do up some Yellowstones. Yellowstones are a really overlooked bug on the Au Sable and probably on lots of other rivers, especially those that are known for their mayfly hatches. But Yellowstone, when it is going, is of a lot of interest to the trout. And imitating it's a difficult thing because when they hit the water, they flutter and skitter and skate. And they can actually be hard to see, especially in the evening when there's lots of other bugs hatching and spinning at the same time. So what I look for is just the distinctive smashing rises. And so when you're trying to imitate a fly that flutters and skates and all that, I think you need two different patterns. One that imitates the fluttering part and one that imitates the sitting still part. So this is a fly that I like for the fluttering part of it. It twitches pretty well and floats pretty well, but what I think it does best is just show a semblance of all four wings going at once. So I start with some poly yarn in the back, which acts kind of like foam would act to keep the rear end floating high, and then we'll just use some superfine sulfur yellow dubbing on the back. Spin it pretty tight and work up. You can see how when it clumps up like that, I like to just kind of skip a spot, wrap up, we'll go back. Because the whole thing's yellow, I like to go back through with the yellow thread. This will give you a tighter body, and I think it holds that in place. Looks good on a stone. Alright, so there's a step of this fly that's not very easy, but I do think it's worth it, and I think you can see it even when it's in the vise. So we'll take some deer hair, and this little patch that I have, I got lucky on. I got lucky and unlucky. I'm lucky that you really don't need to stack it. Looks kind of cool unstacked, but it doesn't have a lot of compression to the tips. So I'll show you what I mean. When I put it on with soft wrap, it really doesn't flare and compress. So it does leave a bit of a hump there. So I'll show you how I kind of work around that, because it's a good enough piece that I don't want to throw it away just because it doesn't flare, you know. Every piece of deer hair is different. So I'm going to take 2 hen feathers here, and these are kind of a light dun, probably natural dun really. So here's the 2 hen feathers, and what I'm going to do is split them around the deer hair like that. So a couple ways to do it, but I'm going to just soft wrap, and then I find if you pull them, they often will come into position. Doesn't look good so far, but we'll get there. So I'll pull it up like that, and then we'll just turn the feather. There we go. So there, good behavior. And now put in the other one. Set them. And what I'm going to do is just kind of hold them in position as I wrap. So it's a crappy step. You can strip the stems of the fibers if that makes you more comfortable. But the goal, no matter how you tie it, is the same. A delta winged stone like that. So I'll show you there. I just think when it comes down to what those bugs look like on the water, this fly in 2 parts does a great job of showing those wings in action. And it's funny because it looks like they're trying so hard to fly, but they just can't get off the water. The rest of this fly is pretty simple. if you don't drop your hackle. So I'll take some slightly undersized grizzly. Prepare it for wrapping. And then what I do is I don't dub the thorax here. I just wrap it with thread. And then wrapping away from ourselves. And what it does is it creates a cool contrast in the fly. Go pretty tight on the hackle, as tight as you think the stem can take. Clip it clean. Whip finish the head. We'll clip one little piece there. All right. So as you can see, I've tied a lot of these. This isn't even my first one of these tonight, and I still had to manipulate the hen and ended up tying them one at a time. I think if I had any advice with that is to use soft wraps to try to position it so that feather is concave down like this, and then use your thread tension to try to set one at a time. I did get a little enthusiastic and try to set them both at a time, and I think that works on other flies, but this fly, when you're working on that deer hair, it's easier to set them one at a time. So a great fluttering stone pattern that's been quite good to me, and I think is worth the extra effort.